What's good, y'all? I'm back. You know I had to come through one more time, one more again. You know I had to do it. I had to do it for y'all. I do it for the love. I do it for the passion of the game. I'm feeling good, and it is because, well, I could attribute it to a couple different reasons. But let's go into the number one reason why I feel good right now, and that is because I've been at this workshop recently, the past couple days, and it's been phenomenal. The speakers that have been talking, they're talking about building your own personal brand, creating wealth, which ultimately creates freedom, and how to basically just be, able to pursue your path, to dominate your path, as the speakers that I would listen to would say. And so I've listened to, I don't know who all's familiar with Elliot Hulse and Jason Capital, or a couple of the guys that are at this thing, and it's pretty dope. Like, all the stuff that they talk about is just so inspiring. Not only that they talk about, but like Elliot Hulse, for instance, if you are familiar with his work, he's into something called Bioenergetics. That's what he teaches. And it really is all about the body. And the reason why I'm so stoked on him and what he's bringing to the table as far as it relates to what I'm doing on this channel and just what I do in general is the body's pretty much, it's like we have two brains, essentially. I mean, we have more than that, but they've identified that the heart, first of all, has way more membranes and receptors and is a lot more powerful than the brain. When they hook it up to an EEG machine, which is an electro something machine, wish I knew the name exactly. The heart has a lot more energy, and the magnitude of the waves is a lot more. So there's that. Then there's also the solar plexus is also another center where it pretty much, as I've heard it described elsewhere, is like the brain of the body. And ultimately, the pumps our blood, does all the, grows our hair, skin, nails, all of that type of stuff. That is being taken care of by this brain right here. So he gets really into how this guy Wilhelm Reich he was a student of, what's that guy's name? The guy from Indiana who was a psychologist, famous psychologist. The name is escaping me right now. Sigmund Freud. He was a student of Freud, and he basically came up with this whole thing about how the body, as he was talking to his patients that he had, because he was a psychiatrist, he was looking over, and you know how they're supposed to lay down on the couch, while he basically takes notes. He lets them, relieve all the childhood traumas past and all that, what have you. So he was actually looking over and then seeing their reactions as they were talking about these traumatic experiences. And so he came to realize that people are holding, and he would see these neurotic movements that people were doing, and all kinds of just fidgety, weird things they were doing as they were talking about re-experiencing this trauma that they had gone through. And so he was he started researching this. He started figuring out what this was. And he found out that people are actually carrying all the trauma. They carry it as holding patterns in their bodies. And over the course of years and built up, everything, we all go through traumatic experiences just by virtue of living in society. We are all pretty much traumatized to some degree on some level or another. And so we all have these, like I said, different levels, but these holding patterns that are like these neurotic things that we do and our mannerisms, they come out. And so he went into this and started figuring out how we can alleviate ourselves of this. And that's when he came up with this bioenergetics, which is this whole field of, it's pretty much, it's kind of like dynamic or active meditation, but it allows you to release all the emotions, whether it's anger, fear, any type of emotion, even happiness. People have gone and started sobbing tears of joy from doing this type of meditation. So it's pretty freaking cool. And I'm actually definitely going to go to his, what he calls his grounding boot camp, where he shows you and teaches you and guides you through how to do this. So that was really awesome. I mean, I had heard about him, and I remember watching some of his YouTube videos like a couple years back. But this, seeing him in person and shaking hands with him and like talking to him, and I got a picture with him and everything, it just kind of, it hits you on another level. And so that's what I was going to discuss actually today, is this law called environmental exposure. And just as it sounds, as you might guess, it basically states that what we expose ourselves to in our environment has a way bigger effect. Pretty much when you're around people, when you're around in a certain environment, it has a lot bigger of an effect. Let's say that you're obviously watch the news, you see that there was a murder, maybe even they get pretty graphic with the murder, they show things. They usually don't do that on the news, but let's just pretend like in a movie they showed, the person getting shot. Obviously that's going to be impactful. It's going to bring up some emotions for you. But seeing that or being witness firsthand to a car crash and a car flipping over and like seeing somebody die in real life has a much bigger effect on us, and that is what environmental exposure is. So what I would recommend to anybody is that if you guys are thinking or possibly, entertaining the idea of going to a workshop or seeing somebody live to speak that you are a fan of, whose work has impacted you a lot, and who you find yourself watching on YouTube or podcasts or whatever it is, even though you might think it's out of the way and there's all kinds of justifications for not going, of course, to any of these things, but I would highly recommend that you make it a priority and go there, because you never know what you're gonna get. Like even just one thing sometimes can make a huge world of difference, provide you with insights and sort of an epiphany, and shed a different kind of light on what it is that you are going through and whatnot, and make it all worth it. You could even get just from one thing, from a several hour presentation or even a 3-day workshop, and have it be all worth it just because of one thing. Even somebody that you meet in the audience, I've actually met a few like-minded people that I could really see myself hanging out with and being friends with more. And that's what, when you're on your path and you're discovering what it is that makes you feel amazing, feel alive, feel good, you definitely, it's hard to continue that when you are surrounded by other people all the time who are, let's say you're making a lifestyle change. Say you're going vegetarian or you're going vegan. It's way, way harder to make that shift if you are literally, your family members or your girlfriend or whatever is always cooking steaks, if that's what they like to eat. It just makes the job a lot harder. So it really makes things easier on yourself if you can find other people that are doing what it is that you want to be doing. And like I said, your mind will come up with all kinds of justifications on why you can't afford to go, or you need to stick around with your friends and keep your friends that you've had since you were in high school. And yeah, you don't necessarily need to let go of every single friend, but at the same time, you need to realize where it's not worth it for you, because you only got one life to live. And if you're constantly being pulled down and dragged down by other people around you, you're not living up to your full potential, and you are really cutting yourself short. You're really, cutting your own foot by doing that. So go out there, take a risk. The more you miss all the shots that you don't take, so the more shots that you put up, the more likely it is, whether that's anything. It could be to meet somebody. It could be, yeah, to get that position, to get that job. I was just on the phone with my friend who's a photographer, and he put out a couple different things, reached out to a couple different people that we know, and now he's gotten signed on to a little collective, a photography collective. In addition, he has some shoots with Vogue and GQ doing an assistant work for that, and it's all because he's been doing the right things and then putting his best foot forward, and then also reaching out to those people. You gotta ask. You gotta, closed mouths don't get fed. And so that takes a little bit of going out of your comfort zone, but it is what it is, and don't be afraid of rejection, because rejection and quote unquote defeat and failure is the closest way and the fastest way that you're going to get those lessons, get that new experience, and then actually reach those successes. So that's what I wanted to leave you guys with today, and I hope that it has been of some use to you guys, some value, and I hope to see you guys. And if there's anything that you guys have been thinking about going to, or anybody else, any speakers, any of your favorite, most influential people, drop me a couple comments down below. Tell me who they are. I would love to check them out too. I'm always looking for more people that I can, when I'm feeling any sort of way, just click on a video and see what they're talking about, because I love assimilating different viewpoints and then processing them and refining my own thinking, my own ways of thinking. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. See you guys next time. Thanks, guys.